heartwarming and also very interesting and thrilling to have you here. As we were just saying, it's clear that this book is a lifelong project that might have materialized now as a full book, but your work has been surrounding the issues for decades. So to see this culminating in this book is extremely thrilling. I want to just start by saying thank you first to Liora Bilski and the Minerva Center for Human Rights and Shelley Pasternak for organizing.
And Noah.
And then to the Safra Center for Ethics, and to Professor Isi Rosenzweig and to Noah Cohen for also supporting this event. And again, the synergy between these two centers, it's not the first time, and it's always exciting and thrilling to see these events come together. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to say that the questions that Professor Rabban raises in his fabulous book can never have been more pressing than right now. And the analytic clarity and also the doctrinal rigor with which you organize the materials and help us to think about these issues is extremely helpful. And even as you said, the same theoretical questions have been underlying the tensions, the questions, the dilemmas for decades. It seems now that they are extremely or even more helpful given what I think as kind of the three new, or rather newish, contexts that we're dealing with now. And the first is actually the growing reliance or the growing emphasis on expert knowledge. And I think, again, that it has been the case also 40 years ago, but I think especially now with the rise of populism, there seems to be more emphasis on expert knowledge. And when I say expert knowledge, however, I distinguish it from what we could also think of as wisdom, or as an experience that accompanies the work of academics, which isn't necessarily expert. And I think that the reliance, at least for me, on expert knowledge is one of the problems that we're now dealing with. The second is the rise of politics of facts. Again, a kind of an emblem of our period is that we no longer just debate norms, we no longer just debate ideas and principles through which, or in light of which we disagree, but actually on the image of the world itself, on what are we talking about. And again, I think more and more has been written about that. The American politics really emphasizes this when we see that as...
He's a terrorist here, you know. Okay.
That the question is whether we have climate problem at all, rather than what to do with it. Is there an epidemic or a pandemic or not? Questions of facts. Is the world, I dare to say, round or flat? We know that these kind of fringe ideas have moved from the periphery to the center. And the last is the disillusion. It kind of ties back to the first one, the disillusion with science. And I think here, again, it hasn't been the case 40 years ago or 30 years ago or 20 years ago, but now the fact that there is so much distrust of scientific and of expert knowledge is one of the dilemmas that academic freedom deals with. Because if kind of these things were almost at the background and assumed, now they're kind of coming to the fore, and they also might challenge the very legitimacy or kind of the consensus around academic freedom, or a lot of the reasons that kind of supported that. So I just want to put this on the table and to wish us all a great afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.